Speedboat Magazine here with another episode of the Boats and Bros podcast. And today we have, again, my bro, Myrick Coil, and his co-champion, national back-to-back-to-back racers, Tyler Miller and Myrick Coil in MCON.
That sounds like a lot of racing when you say it that way.
It's a mouthful.
It's got it. Well, you got to think it's probably about close to 30 races even more than that if you count Key West as 3 instead of just, right. So, because you're doing, 7 plus a couple?
Yeah.
Most years. 2020 kind of screwed that up. But since then, we've been back.
Man, you guys have had one hell of a season.
Yeah, there's ups and downs, but yeah, dude, talk about totally confident in a boat. Since we're talking about the Super Cat, it's like we get in it and it's like a glove, like a baseball glove that you've had for 10 years or something, and just like fits perfect and it does what you want it to do. So you're excited whenever you get in it. It's that great.
Yeah, it's great. It's just like putting your favorite T-shirt on every time we get into it.
Yeah,
you get on some of these other boats, we jump in it, and we're like, before you even put the belts on, it's like we're home.
Well, it is pretty great when the boat was built for you too.
Yeah, that helps.
Even though I could put my foot on the dash of most of them because the steering column's far enough away, but yeah, it's been a good season. We have our ups and downs. Sarasota, of course, being the down one. When we're in the lead, that has made me so gun shy in the lead of these other 2 races that we've been fortunate enough to win, because you're like, man, anything can happen. You're smelling stuff. It's an eerie feeling. I was just talking off camera or off recording how it seems so much less stressful being in second place because your mind's occupied with what the other person's doing over don't screw up.
Yeah,
what's that?
You get racing and you're in first, and the laps can't click off fast enough, and looking back at Lake of the Ozarks where Pro Floors beat us on our hometown waters, we got done with like 9 or 10 laps. I'm like, Myrick's like, there's a checkered flag. I'm like, it's over already, because you're hammering away and you don't even think about what's going on.
Yeah,
you're just trying to catch.
Gotta get there for him. Hope he screws up. You just keep doing it time and time again. Yeah, it is.
Well, this is the first year that both you guys, that Team MCON Monster Energy campaigned 2 boats. The first one being the Class 1 438 Skater, and first year brand new boat. You guys had some issues at the beginning.
Yeah, just learning. So, yeah, first couple races just dealing with gremlins as far as getting the boat set up, but it got a lot better, and we were able to podium 3 races in a row, and that was good going into Key West. We're still working on it. You got to remember that boat that we got podiums with, we didn't even have in the water except for like the week before the first race. So, it's a lot of work is what it is. It's a lot of work.
Tyler, Myrick had said that the first experience running the turbo motors, the 1100s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was crazy, Yeah,
what did it feel like?
It was one of those things that was not what I expected at all. The boat had a lot of power, and once the turbo picked up, it's like, wow, this is amazing. Like in Cocoa Beach, we took off, and I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
But then
I tell you what, we had that, and then we had a calm one, and then we had the Great Lakes, which it just beats you up, and back in we were definitely, I think, I couldn't say that because Sheboygan was nasty on the second day, and and we did all right in that. We did good in that, but man, you're ready to get out of it. I mean, you're just like, woo, I've had enough of this. And having multiple races in a row. It's one, if you go to Cocoa, then you go a couple races, and then you go back to another big one. When it goes back to back, you're like, oh, my God. And weekend to weekend, too. You don't even get a week off. That was stressful, I guess.
So
and painful.
Tell me about the Class 1 world. That's a whole different animal, right?
Yeah, did you see that video out today? They made us look like a bunch of dumbasses.
Everyone making it, come on here.
start the buoy. So keep an eye out for that. Oh, gotcha.
They're gonna be so.
Any other questions?
Staff.
It was hilarious. Yeah, I was
Well, they
like,
had me
what
as
is this?
focused, and they had you looking like,
Yeah, but you didn't look focused. You looked confused like me.
lasers,
like, huh?
laser-eyed, looking at it, just checking it out. Like,
Yeah, I was
this.
telling Ray about some of those meetings that we're in where we're like, huh, what's going on? How many laps do you want? Yeah, on that one race that it was a dumbass move on my part, but it worked out. It was
Boygan.
yeah, Sheboygan. When you get to, they actually Tyler actually put the load on me. Like, I don't know how many laps you want there, big guy. And I'm like, and then somebody behind me said a number, and so since they said that number, I was going to be immediately like, hell no, I ain't going to go with 12 laps. I want 14, and it gets nasty rough. You're like, what was I thinking?
Yeah. And then after like lap 12, a couple boats broke down, and Mark's like,
I was
there,
like, look,
see,
yeah,
look
see,
what
that's
14 laps got us.
Yeah, moving on up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why in the hell did you pick 14 laps in this stuff?
yeah.
Brutal.
Well, because I trusted our team, buddy. They had that thing ready to go.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was good.
It lived. I barely did with my back and everything, but it lived.
Yeah.
We were talking to a gentleman the other day in Clearwater, and he was part of like Navy SEALs or something like that. And he was talking about the boats that they were in were, weight could handle a lot more than the guys' bodies. And I was like, well, that's kind of what this boat can do too, because the limitation is what we can do, not what the boat can do, because it could do more, so it's crazy.
Well,
So we put some remote control stuff on it and send some boats out and see how hard you can really run them before they come apart.
Mark had said that there's like, you guys can't even take certain things because it'll show up as performance enhancing and the whole like procedure.
Yeah. Well, you go through tech every time. They're basically just looking it over and making sure there's nothing goofy going on.
Yeah.
They do compression checks. They do gear ratio checks. They whistle the engine. So then they check lash. You can't have more than, I think it's 720 lift. So almost 3/4 of an inch of lift on the exhaust valve, stuff like that. So that's the stuff that they normally do. But, they all make around, from what I can tell, 800 horsepower, high 700s. So, but
tell me about the start procedure that Class 1 does that none of the other classes do.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's crazy,
so that you've done it. What's your opinion?
I think in rough water it's fine. I think in flat water we need a lot more time to perfectly execute it, because those guys that have done it for 15 plus years know how to get the run up just right, know the speed to hit it at, and it's a slingshot. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I was telling Ray about that. I was like, literally, you could be going top speed if you could time it just right. Thing is, it's so close to the turn, you have to hang back through a turn, and it's hard to judge how much long it takes to travel around a turn when you're like 10 lanes out, and then you're making sure some dummy don't come over and take your lane, because if you're buried back there behind them during this start, you're going to they'll just eat your lane up because you're not there to show your presence, because it just gets tight like that. So if you try to come up from behind and they, you don't time it right, you're just going to get hosed down.
Yeah. It definitely takes some of the anxiety out of it, because you know where the start's going to be, you know where the buoy's at. You're not just inching along at 40, waiting on a flag. I mean, you know right where the pin's at, and if you hit it just right, it's awesome, But if you're a little bit off, you're behind really quick, So and it's the same with the green and yellow flag, I guess you could say. But those guys that have been doing it a long time, man, they've got it figured out.
40-mile-an-hour starts this weekend, which was kind of slow, but our boat was also propped really tall. So anytime you hit the throttle down that slow, feels like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with this thing? But then we were looking out the window and we're like, hey, we're actually pulling on them. I didn't think it was going to happen at all.
I didn't either. So. You know, and you get that feeling like, where's everybody at? Where's everybody at? And, you know, there's only one boat to our left and everybody else is on the inside because we drew P4. And so I hollered at Myrick. I said, where's everybody at? How we doing? And he's like, we're motoring. Just let's go. Let's go. Yeah. You know?
Okay. So that's, well, I got to guess where 40 feet is off of this buoy. Yeah. And I rewatched the video. Everybody had a lane. So that's pretty much all you count on.
Yeah.
I watched that Doug Wright video. Them guys, they just freaking dipped that nose in and it just went on its lid.
Yeah. It happened quick too. They weren't even hardly just right at the pin, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But they were playing catch up too, because they were about 4 boats back, you know, halfway down the straightaway and falling a little bit. Maybe they got a guard. I almost wonder if they had a guardian for water pressure or something in that area, because they were getting pulled on pretty good. Then all of a sudden, it went to that turn. I don't know if his tunnel tab was down or not. I think it had to be down some, and it just dipped that sponson in and just right on its lid.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when you put the reason them boats are so fast in that they're keeping the air contained in that tunnel with the tunnel tab, because that's the downwind direction too, because the wind, end of the wind was going the other way. So they probably using a little bit more, and then it's tough when that nose gets in there. It's hard to bring it around, especially in somebody else's wake. And looks like they got into Taylor and Johnny's wake a little bit just with that front right sponson, and it just followed that wake right around. So,
yeah, it was crazy because even on the broadcast, you can see what happened, and then there was a boat overall on the course, so it's tough to follow.
Yeah, you know, when you hadn't seen it and you're just hearing, you know, talk in the pits, you know, it looked a lot different than what I had heard, what I expected it to look like.
Yeah.
So
Tyler, you had said that the Super Cat fits like a glove and it's like home getting into the boat. Tell me about what the Class 1 boat feels like from the first time you got into it for, say, Cocoa Beach until now.
That's a good question.
Yeah, very good question. Obviously, when I first got in Cocoa Beach, I had no clue what was about to take place. You know, it's a significantly larger boat, so everything just feels different. You know, you feel out of place. And we had just raced the Super Cat and won, and so you get out of that feeling and jump into this other boat that's 4 to 5 foot longer and wider and heavier and bigger, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's kind of almost overwhelming, you know. But I really feel like that throughout the season and throughout our testing and just different things, it's for Throttleman, and probably for Myrick too, but for me it became really mental, you know, because you're racing in a Super Cat that's carbureted, naturally aspirated. When you pull off the sticks, the power goes away. When you push the sticks, the power is instant. And when you get in a turbo boat, it is not the same at all. You know, from a Throttleman's perspective, you stab the throttle and you count to about 1,004, 1,005, and then the turbo kicks in, and then you take off. And once it gets going, you're thinking, whoa, you know, I need to pull out of this a little bit. Well, in a Super Cat, you pull the stick back. In a Class 1, you pull the stick back and everybody's gone. You have to keep the turbo boost you know, up there. You don't, you know, 7, 8, you got to keep it between 7 to 8 on the low end and as much as you can get on the top end. And so it took me, you know, 2 to 3 races. And I think that's what really, in Sheboygan, that's kind of what I really figured out, was it's kind of more of a roll on and a roll off, because if you let out the sticks, it's just 3/4 of an inch to an inch. And that starts to slow the boat down, and it takes it a little bit for the turbo to unwind too. But man, when you know you're coming off of a wave or whatever else, if you're in the air, where a Super Cat, you know, like a split second before it hits the water, I'm back on the sticks to get it spooled back up. And a turbo boat, you better be 2 to 3 seconds and
ahead,
back into it, you know.
Man.
And I think it's probably
when it comes back in like that under load with them turbo motors, though, you're like, holy shit, it'll pull your head off. You know, but you could tell you're just putting so much stress on the drivetrain, because you're exploding everything back, like the water and everything behind you. It's crazy.
Yeah. And you know, that's a good point, you know, because in Sheboygan, that first race that we did, we ended up second. I decided on that race I was going to keep the drives tucked in a lot more. And so
that helped a lot. That was a big turning point in our season. It was.
And whenever the turbo was spooled up, you would re-enter the water, and with the drives up, it would just launch the boat again. Well, what was happening in Sheboygan, I kept it tucked in, and I'd re-spool it and have it going. And when we'd hit re-enter the water, it just kept moving forward. Forward momentum is what you want. And it was kind of the turning point for me on how to run the turbo motor boat, honestly.
Yeah.
And we gained a lot of confidence in that first race on how hard the boat could turn if it was, trimmed into where it's on its nose where I can drive it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we set up the corners.
That corner by the white tents. That one was that's the hardest we turned the boat all year on that buoy in that race.
No doubt. Yeah.
We were there covering that race, and that was such an exciting race. And your first podium of the season, that second place finish, was very exciting for the entire team. We had a great picture of Lindsay celebrating, by the tent.
That was epic.
Very cool. And the fact that you guys have since then kind of elevated since then.
Yeah, we've had a good finish. I mean, because after Sarasota, when we about burned his baby to the water line, and you got kicked in the balls from, being in the lead. Actually, we got second, but it felt like we got last since the boat was hurt like that, So anyway.
So I was going to bring up that bad memory, but since you did,
it was nasty. It was like the worst 2 miles of boating I think I've ever had, probably for Tyler too, or mile, whatever it was, mile probably. It felt like it took 15 minutes, that 1 mile, and then the boat was on fire.
And then it was the last stretch of the checkered flag to go down, and we
were dialed, and that thing was flying that race.
Yeah. It was an unbeatable boat in my opinion. I mean, unless obviously mechanical failure, it was perfect coming in and out of the turns. Acceleration was awesome. It was really, really, really good. But I mean, it happens. You have mechanical failure issue like we did. Lost water pressure, engines heated up, and you have a choice to make in the boat. I know Johnny and Myrick have talked about before, like in Mentor, Ohio, when Johnny radioed into Mark and said, "Hey, I can probably win this thing, but it's going to tear this boat to pieces." There wasn't any radioing in. The owner's sitting in the seat, and I was not stopping.
Coming back in. Oil pressure 0 on my starboard. I'm going to try to keep it on plane. Yeah.
Nobody's behind you.
I got it in neutral.
Maintain. He's got to see what she's got left in the tank.
Yeah. And we found out too,
with backup fuel pumps on and everything. Give her as much fire as we can give her. I wasn't telling him don't do it. I was just like, oh God, I can't believe we're doing it. But like I told you, felt like it was 10 minutes, that 1 mile, especially when they went around us. I was like, oh my God, can you believe that? And stood it up like straight up and down and about shit your pants, and then get your ass kicked and catch the boat on fire. All that. You're like, man, that was a mile of boating.
When did you guys realize that the boat was on fire?
After we were sitting in the cockpit, pissed that we got second. We're like, well, could have been worse. We could have burnt the boat down. He's like, you smell that? It's like, I smell it. We better get the fire extinguishers. Yeah, don't open it. It sucked. And then you could just feel the helicopters on top of you. You're like, oh, great. Probably 20 cameras watching me. I'm going to be like Ricky Bobby on fire in that movie running around. Save me, Tom Cruise. That's what it felt like.
That is exactly what it felt like. And, and then it's like, come on, get this thing put out, and then it just kept smoking and flaming. And I'm like, oh no, because it's, you just two years to rebuild something like that. If it burns like we thought it was going to burn.
It was hot enough to where it was mental with this because the deck on that side got a little soft when you're walking back there. The hatch was definitely soft. You're like, oh yeah, don't stand on that because you sink through it, because it's that hot. You're like, oh shit. But that's exactly where the fire was, right under that hatch. And then going forward in the fuel room, it started to get soft up by the cockpit. Just, maybe a foot or two, but by the time we had gotten back to the pits and everything had been drowned with salt water and everything, it wasn't soft anymore. So just was going back to its liquid state, I guess, because it had to be 180 degrees in there or something.
Yeah, it was hot.
At least.
We were hot. On the support boat and picked you guys up on the center console as Shane Sherman was, and back to the pits, and then you guys chugged some water, jumped into fire suits, and jumped into the Class 1 boat and had to get right back out there.
Yeah, that's what animal throttleman I have. He's like ready to blow this boat up. And he's like, let's go kick everybody's ass now in this one.
I wrote about that in my column, Tyler, is that I was like, man, what an animal you are as far as, because that you kiss Lindsay, and you're like,
look at me, like you're in for a ride, man.
Let's do this, bro, and then you guys run out. Of course.
Yeah. The whole time out there. Maybe she went out there. Yeah, have it. It's stuck in your nose.
Let's fucking do this shit, bro. Yeah, no.
And then you know what's really bad? When you pass your other boat is you're going out. You're towing it.
It was getting towed in.
Oh man.
Yeah. There's a baby,
yeah. A bunch of some guys you don't know towing it along, or kind of know them, but they got an inflatable rib they tie up to it.
Yeah.
It's terrible seeing your boat under towing. Especially that one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Tyler, what was your mindset? That was obviously the most expensive second place finish you've ever had. And then to get back out there and get focused to go back out there and do battle with.
Yeah, we were rolling in that race. We were gonna do good in that race until I don't know what
Gearbox.
Gearbox. Port gearbox.
Yeah.
We were in the mix.
I was still jacked up from the race before, that we should have been first place, and so I was just ready to go back out. I felt like we knew the course at that point. We knew it better than anybody, because we had been out there and running 12 laps on it. I'm like, let's go get this thing done. And I knew we had a fast boat because it was fast in testing.
Yeah, I think we had qualified high. Maybe second or third.
P3, I think.
Yeah. So. It was better than we had been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
the gearbox took you out.
Yeah, lap 2 or 3. But we were battling with X Insurance and potholes. Potholes was out there too.
And again, another battle of attrition. That's a race. Had we have just been able to maintain our position, I think 3 or 4 or 5 boats broke in that race.
Yeah. Every DF Young had like water pressure, and Husky broke at like lap 7.
Yeah.
Anyway,
222, I think, is the only boat that finished. So there you go.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that if we could have just put one together.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know what DeFalco did. DeFalco's getting a new boat.
Yeah.
Ray.
So,
words out.
What are they getting?
The boat that I don't remember the gentleman's name, but Billy had ran the boat before with a guy with I don't know what power was in it, but they were racing it in unlimited. It's the one that actually jumped over the back of Bob Bull and Randy.
Oh, okay.
Key West, yeah.
Yeah, it's a victory boat.
Yeah. Wow. Very cool.
So, yeah. Well,
they'll be in it in Key West.
Yeah, cool. Tyler, recap your first Class 1 season for me. What your overall opinion of it, and your high points, your low points.
Definitely the high points is back-to-back podium finishes, I would say. After taking a brand new boat, new to the scene, first skater in 20 plus years,
Yeah.
And then Myrick's guys at Performance Boat Center doing a phenomenal job getting it rigged in time to make it to the first race.
We were doing that video with Scrapyard Conduct, I think it was what it is, and
Rod and Katie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh man, a lot of pressure just to get this thing done. Yeah. Jake lived there. His wife's
oh my gosh,
pregnant or just had a baby, and he was living there. And so did Rouse. Came down, and Dave McIntyre put in a lot of time then too. So to go from that to how we're sitting and going into Key West, I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah,
it's something. It definitely wasn't a negative. Could have been way worse. So
yeah, I'd say the low points for me would probably just been, what these guys put into building this boat and then not being able to finish a race.
A couple races, yeah.
Those were probably the low points, but everything else from there for me was high. We got the boat on the podium, we finished our races, and feel like we came a long ways.
We set a kilo record.
Yeah,
I about drove it. I about missed the buoys both directions.
Sometimes the drivers do screw up, just so we know. Just so we all know here. Often. Very often.
He's like, "Where you going?" I'm like, "To the buoys." He's like, "Go over there."
If you watch up close, Ray, you'll see it.
55. We're going 155. He's like, "No, tunnel tabs down." And I'm like, made it right through there, just barely. I've about touched that thing. It's the same buoy that Trente hit with the electric boat. So it was creepy that day. That buoy wind was pushing you into it, and especially when you don't see it, Yeah. That really affected.
So the big thing
the other way, I did the same thing.
Down at the ends of the variants of the mile run out on the kilo, they had yellow buoys set up. Well, the finish line buoys were yellow. So when you're a mile away looking down there, you see like 6 buoys.
Yeah, and the way the sun was coming out of that cove, and the sun was beaming on those buoys because the other two are right along that bluff, and the sunset's in the west over there, and the bluff is blocking the light on the other 2 buoys. You're just like, I got it. I see them down there. Obviously, the ones that are brightest and biggest got to be the ones that I got to go through, right? Nope, they're the dark little ones that are off the direction over there, So.
And closer and closer and closer. I'm like, hey, give me a little bit of right. He's like, I got it. I'm like, dude, just a little bit to the right. I said, you're going to hit the buoy. Then he's like,
yeah.
He said, right the tab's in. He's that's a great kilo. We're sliding it through the finish.
Yeah. That thing was flying that day.
Yeah.
The wind with light little breeze. I mean, it was pushing that boat, but not as hard as the Class 1. Feels like a Class 1 boat being bigger, the wind affects it more, in relation to the 2. When it gets a wind from the side, that big old flat side it's a good place to push, basically.
Yeah. And so both your boats set kilo records that day.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's cool. Super cool. World records. It's that.
Put your name in the book, right?
20. For sure. I think a 20-year record in the Super Cat, and a new record in the Class 1.
That's cool.
Really cool.
Yeah. Hey, Myrick, run down for the people that don't know exactly what's involved in a kilo run.
Well, this one was a little different because he didn't get as much of a run up. They usually just let it go maybe a couple miles, but basically there's a kilometer with buoys on each end, and they actually have a timer. It's kind of old school. It's like something with a beam that somebody follows, like that's on a transit, and it breaks these 2 beams, and then however fast you made it through that kilo, they give you the average speed of that distance traveled. So you might be going 129 in it and 142 out of it, and you get a 138, or whatever that math is. So average speed both directions.
Yeah. Unlike a shootout, it's not your fastest speed that you would achieve. It's the average of 2 runs.
Yeah. I remember when Dave did it, it was probably 02. He did it in that little 36 Gator, and he did a one-way average of 202.9. and then the other way average of like 196 or something like that. So he had 198 mile an hour average through the kilometer. I think that still might be the record. Yeah, I think it still might be. Yeah. It takes a lot to set up a kilo, so it's not, just something like, hey, let's go do this. I think there's a kid on the I think it's Princeton Electric Boat Team, which I'm in contact with, and he's trying to set up a kilo for his electric boat, and was wondering if he knew of any other boats that might want to do it that would contribute to, paying this $7,000 to set it up, basically. So
yeah, because we were up there while they were setting it up, and there's a long cable that they need to run from there.
Yeah, don't you think there'd be something better than that? You think we Bluetooth everything, we're gonna run the cable in the lake? I don't get that, to be honest. When I did it, I set that stupid cable up down there at the 4-mile marker, Lake of the Ozarks, 20 years ago, and I thought it was dumb. When I did it, I was making Mike Powell on a freaking pontoon boat with like the biggest spool of phone wire you've ever seen in your life, and you got to take it a kilometer up the lake. You're like, holy crap! There isn't a better way of doing this.
Right.
Like put the GPS in the boat and go. How about we can just look at it? But, oh, well. Anyway.
And then
I'm done ranting because I had to pull. Then they said, "Hey, go pull it back up." And we get like, I don't know, not very far into it. We're like, it's stuck. We're like, dink, oh shit, it broke. My bad. And it just disappears. Like, okay, well, So I guarantee there's some guys out there fishing caught on this phone line that me and Pal left in the lake in 2002. But it's deep out there, 60 feet. But anyway, that's what but you said that you saw that happen at the shootout this year, so it's the same timing system.
Yeah, for sure. And they use that old school gadget, whatever that is. It's had Kike for
there's like a reflector across the lake or something. I'm like,
right.
Whatever. If this is the way we have to do it, right on.
Yeah, the official way.
Yeah, so we did the kilos. That was cool. Actually, I've already talked about the Dirty Duck run. So anyway, just through, basically Tyler and I standing beside each other, and Rusty's standing there. I was like, just, one of those things pops in your head. I was like, Tyler should drive this boat back because it's got to go back to the shop anyway. And I said, Tyler, you want to take the Dirty Duck boat back? Absolutely. I was like, I couldn't even get it out of my mouth. I'm like, and he's like, I was like, Rusty's taking it back. He's like, and Rusty immediately, Rusty's like, I'm throttling though. Tyler's like, well, okay, whatever, and then they go on a blast. And it's always, after the award ceremony at the shootout, and when you leave, it's pretty calm. I've done it like, I don't know, 20 times, taking a boat back, and, everybody's already like went down the lake. There might be a few wakes. You got to be kind of careful, but, up there by catamarans, it's usually slick, and you can run them up pretty good. And they ran it up pretty good. I don't know exactly how fast they went, 180 or something like that. But it was like kind of cool because full circle, Tyler had all this work and time and love put into this other boat, and he's actually, it actually served its purpose for a different reason, and it's kind of nice to see that. And then Tyler actually being in it, going down the water. After all the money that he has spent, at least he got to go have some fun in that boat.
It ran like it's never ran when I had it. I can tell you that. Oh, man, it was insane. Insane.
Yeah.
We took off, and the GPS was working, and we were at like 70, 75, and we were kind of picking out a good line, and we went by Mark. He was in his 42 MTI. They were headed back, and we went by them and waved, and Rusty's like, all right, this is like a good flat spot here. Let's go. I'm like, let's go. And I'm not a good wheel man by any means, but I was dying to get behind that thing, and he took off, and it was like 70, 90, 110, 130, and then the GPS went out, and I'm just like, and it just throws you back in the seat like nothing I've ever experienced. Unbelievable.
I felt it, but it's right up there with as hard as the one that, especially, just driving it down the lake, like cruising, you're like, not just being in the shootout. It's not like you towed it out there. You're driving it down the lake. So it was
took
cool.
three or four different runs up at it, and the fastest I'd been prior to this season was probably 145, and then we in the class 1, we run, that 150, the lower 150 number, and I mean, this thing clicks by 150 like it's 80 mile an hour. It's insane.
You're starting to giggle. Then it goes from like, okay, what's it gonna do, to holy shit, this is what it's doing, to oh my God, when's it gonna stop? It's like, whew.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, let him. Woo, that was exciting.
And Myrick's right. We'd spent a year and a half after owning that boat and building it, trying to get it right for the Super Cat, and it was just too much boat for the limited horsepower.
Yeah.
Man, they've got it right now because
it's a good balance now.
It's a good balance. It's insane.
I was sitting outside the shop because we were draining the tanks today, and I was like, this thing would be a good class 1 boat, even though it's got the small tunnel. It's it would do well. And kudos to Slug for actually. He spent a lot of money to get that thing like that, and I mean, it looks badass. It looks Slug style, very well. So anyway,
it's a beautiful boat.
Yeah, because of course we're talking about Slug Hefner's 438 skater, which he got from
Dirty Duck. Yep,
and it's got a pair of Carson Brummett turbocharged engines. 2200 a side?
Yeah,
is that right?
It's or nuts more? To feel. Yeah, so E90. He says 2200 side, and on that Sunday run, he upped the boost like I think 2 or 3 pounds, and it was noticeable because it was like a 187 or 189 and then a 194, and that's the difference right there. So we had a little hiccup, it just like 38 through the box, but once it comes alive at like 90 miles an hour, it's like, hold on. So yeah, but when you run it on 1700, it goes right to 180. We did that a couple times on E85, but when you flip that switch and go to E90, it's another animal. So anyway, pretty neat.
And Carson told you there's more in it if you want, right?
Yeah, I think it needs a bigger turbo. I think we're out of that turbo. So it's funny, so it's I was actually talking to my buddy Lucky after that run. He's a big engine guru, and he actually builds blocks and builds engines and all that. And he's like, it's crazy. He goes, and I'm talking about the lag, obviously, because in the shootout, that lag, that when you hit it, you're like, oh God, here, it's like you have it geared so high, it's such a big range of mile per hour, and you're at 40 mile per hour. It takes a long time for it to come alive. And he's like, yeah, but you only have to put 2200 horsepower worth of air through that engine to get it to go. To get like our 2200 horsepower engine, because the turbo's free power. It takes no power away. Supercharger, you have to move that much more air through the engine because of the loss that you have from compressing the air through there. So say, he says you might lose 200-300 horsepower, or it takes that much to drive that supercharger at that amount of boost. So, that's and the E90 be very, very forgiving, because back in the day, whenever we'd try to go to like big power like that without it being alcohol or E90, you just blow it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carson Brummett stuff was cool. It was neat to run it. It was neat to finally get a relationship with him. I've seen him a lot of times and never ran any of his stuff. Might have ran something in a pleasure boat or something, but never do I had to call him and, hey, what do you want the fuel pressure to be? What do you want, all this other stuff to be? Because it's a new animal. And Gene did a good job of putting the engines in and all that. So
that's right.
It was nice to have a project just brought to me and like, hey, see how it runs, and they did a good job. We only had to do a few things, water pressure gauges and
parachute,
drive height and props and water pressure, and fixed a couple little things that just failed, so anyway, it was cool.
And then last weekend was Clearwater, where you guys only had to worry about the Super Cat boat because the Class 1 season was over, and had an outstanding turnout.
Yeah, but we had St. Pete before that.
St. Pete.
So since there's St. Pete, which that's where we spun out and about wrecked the boat again last year. Yeah, I'll just replay that video of it going around in my head, like from the helicopter over and over. But yeah, so little gun shy with that. But we had a good boat in Class 1 in that race. We were freaking flying. That was probably the most we won by this year, and Super Cat was a St. Pete race. It was, talk about fun, dialed in. Yeah. He's trying to keep it off the rev limiter. That's how great it is. When you're trying to do that, you're like, ha ha ha, this thing is bad to the bone today. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, it was on rails in St. Pete, no doubt. We went out and tested. I think we ran a lap and a half, maybe 2 laps. I'm like, put it away.
Yeah,
Don't
we're
just
good. He had his
don't
data.
touch anything.
He had his data, and it was different than the year before. It was different, that whole different setup. I'm not going to tell everybody. It's kind of secret.
But no, it was unbelievable, you know. And then jumping into Class 1, they had made some adjustments to the rev limiter on the 1100s, and again, data and math, it threw me for a loop. You know, we went from 6750 to 6500 on the rev limiter, and so not having ran that in the past, it was a little bit out of the ordinary for me. So I think we missed our setup just a little bit, but
we're a little short.
Just a little short, but just not knowing the gear ratio or the prop and kind of exactly what we need, because we never tested to that, you know. So but you know, all in all, ended up on the podium again with that thing, and just super happy for our sponsor and everybody else to end the season, you know, back on the podium in St. Pete, and it was really cool.
It was, the boat didn't feel bad at all. We'd have to watch out for Guardian at the end when we were really hauling ass, because the boat gets that much more lift, and you know, it only hit us twice, I think, during the race. But it felt good. That rudder steering and them sweepers bad to the bone, because you can really set it on its ass, and I still can keep steering with it, because with the Super Cat you kind of got to dip it in, and it's not as easy to float. Just because I assume it's because of power. Yeah,
you're just powering through it. Straight power, straight inline power. You know, with the shafts and the rudder, it's
a
pretty
different
amazing.
Feeling.
Yeah.
When I was talking to Britt, I was listening to him about how he does a lot of his turning in the Class 1. He says that he turns that thing a lot more than he does even his V bottom. I guess I could see that, but it's still just like any of the other boats. If the throttle man doesn't get the nose in, you can't turn it. It just pushes right through a turn, even though it's so big. You know, you're like, oh, you should just be able to put it wherever you want. If the trim setting's off, it's just like, go over there, and it won't, you know.
It just pushes right on through it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to drop the nose and get it set in for him, and then get back in the sticks to keep the turbo boost up. And if I don't,
it feels like forever when he goes to grab it again, because he's anticipating. And when it comes to life, all that power, you're like, whoa, what was that? You know, it shoves the ass in around. I got a crack for it. So
yeah.
I know going into the second season of Class 1 racing, you guys will go in with an advantage because you guys are now confident with the boat and have an experience under your belt.
I don't know if we'll have any advantage, but we'll definitely be way more confident.
This season,
yeah. And you know, this off season we're going to do a significant amount of testing.
Boat's getting worked on right now. It's getting pictures all day today, so hopefully it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're going to go to the I'm going up on Saturday and taking the boys and just going to see everybody at their races, the NHR races are in St. Louis. So that'll be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
It's been a long time since I've been to one. I think maybe, I don't know, probably 15 years. I think I went with Dave last time. Long time ago.
Never been. I've never been, so I'm excited to see it.
Your mind's going to be blown when you hear them freaking. It's mind blowing.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah. I was showing the boys last night some YouTube videos of people getting scared, like little grandma sitting there, and then things take off, and they're like, it's hilarious. There's a Coke bottle sitting on the bleacher, just like half full, just sitting there. And when it takes off, the Coke bottle shakes around and goes off of the bleacher. That's how much concussion there is.
Wow.
Wow. Pretty cool. But yeah, so St. Pete was good. We redeemed ourselves, got a podium in the Class 1, and then off to Clearwater. It was a couple weeks apart and pretty close location via water, though, or via, I mean, we fly in and out of Tampa. It feels like that's our only place we fly into is Tampa, and go to those races over in that area in the Gulf. But it was good. I like Clearwater a lot. I like the town. I like the atmosphere. It's neat.
Yeah,
everything's kind of new and clean, and they got some cool beaches. I actually didn't make it on the beach at all this time. because the pits are over. Talking about moving the pits, Tyler was to me the other day, like, where did it look at a different site? Looked it up on Google Maps. That's a big old area over there.
Yeah, lots of room. Can get everybody in there. That'll be really nice. And
because we're kind of spread out via in the pits. I think there's 3 different locations. I didn't even go in the other 2, so it would have sucked to been in those pits over there, away from the cranes, away from the ramp. We were fortunate enough to get down there, and
it was a cool spot because they could do something like they did in Sarasota, where they had that pit party where you don't have to take all the boats to have a parade or nothing. You can just have a pit party and people come to it. That's what they did in Sarasota, and this place was laid out perfect for that. So, I mean,
it's kind of what they did at Lake Race too. They kind of did that.
Yeah. So that could be a really cool spot.
Yeah.
I think it'll work out well if they can get it done with the city.
And you secured your 3rd consecutive national title. So congratulations, boys.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool feeling. I don't know how many more we got in us. I know it's making. I notice a few of my gray hairs on here that I was shaving earlier, probably from this season.
Well, I'll be honest. I hadn't broke out with acne in a while, and Thursday night I'm starting to break out, and Friday I'm stressing out and breaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just thinking about it constantly. But I mean, Myrick said it numerous times on numerous occasions, is to win a 7-race series, to win that national title, and to carry US1 it's a big deal. 7 races, put them all together and finish. It's a lot. Your team has to be on their game, your engine program, your propeller program, your maintenance program. I mean, and then just Myrick and I in the boat too. And it's
during race week, and like say from I don't know, Tuesday when the boats leave, so Monday, so full week and a half, you got 4 or 5 guys just working their ass off to make sure that thing makes it 60 miles. But at wide open throttle, so, and to do it over and over and over, give kudos to the boys, Dave and Pal and Craig and Jake and the girls. Lindsay works her butt off. You go up there, you wouldn't think she would be sitting over there having a martini or something. She's over there scrubbing on the props and scrubbing on everything, basically, getting her girl cleaned up. That's for sure.
Yeah. You guys definitely have a dedicated team, and not only to do it, like you said, Tyler, for one season, race after race after race, but to do it 3 seasons in a row. I mean, that's you guys are running a dynasty.
Yeah, we looked. A couple people in the group were looking up the meaning of dynasty while we were in Clearwater, and I'm like, easy now, let's not get carried away. But
I think it's more in 3. I think it's more in 3 years. I'd say you almost got to do it like 7 years.
Oh my gosh! I don't know if I got 7 years left in me, Myrick.
No, you already got 3. So all you need's 4.
Reel off 4 in a row? Hell yeah, I'm in.
How old's Johnny? He's like 80. He's still doing it. No,
he's like a 40-year-old in a 60-year-old body. It's crazy.
Guy is a machine.
Unbelievable.
And he still wins every time. Yeah. Whatever class you put him in, he'll figure it out.
Yeah,
so it's pretty cool.
It's amazing.
I think he's 56, people, maybe 6. I don't know. I think he's a little bit younger, Mark. I think he's 58, or I don't know. Yeah. But anyway,
I put him too old. Sorry, Johnny.
Not 80.
So what was the celebration in the cockpit when you got that checkered flag in Clearwater?
Oh, we were hugging each other and kissing each other on the cheek, and Knuckles, way to go. And you guys realize we talk to everybody as soon as we get in the boat. Everybody's in our ear if they're not saying anything, I might slip up and say something that's inappropriate, but it's not. Jace is recording us, but he's got to bleep it out every once in a while. There's actually a funny story here. I'll even admit it. You're gonna tell it. You tell it.
No. Go ahead. Tell it yourself, bro.
It was after Sarasota, so we had drank all that water, had a shitty ass day, drove around at 50 miles an hour in the Class 1 boat for like 50 laps, is what it felt like. And I had to piss so bad, and we actually ran out of fuel on the engine because we had ran it so damn hard for them laps on one motor, and then the other one had a broken gearbox. So we're coming in, we're like, this thing just fucking ran out of gas. Like, oh my god, look at the current. And just some dude and his kid happened to be close enough. I'm like, come on the rocks. So a guy hooks on, takes off with us, and thank God. And it was like close. The seawall was, I was almost ready to like jump and try to hold it off or something. It was that close. And so then we're going along. We're just standing there like agony of defeat, you know, and you should stand on the deck. I'm like, man, I got to piss, you know, because we had been in and out and never had any time. So I get down the cockpit and I'm sitting there and I open the escape hatch. It's not like I do this a lot. This is probably the first time ever, really. And I open the escape hatch, and I'm just, because, you know, nobody can obviously see in there, and you're under tow. And so I'm peeing, and I look up at the dash, and I'm like, it's a fucking GoPro, you know? And I was like, it's on. And then I was like, there's another GoPro that's on. I'm like, I just smacked it.
You smacked it up, and I have just
smacked. Yeah, I smacked the GoPro up in the air. I'm like, what the end of the greatest day, you know? GoPro. The GoPros are on. Look at my little dick.
and say, crazy footage for you, bro. You got to get the cockpit footage pulled out.
I didn't even think about it, and I was like, man, I hope he didn't tell them guys. I hope that just gets like cut in the cutting room floor or something like that, because maybe he won't pay attention to 5 minutes after we get off the course. Tyler already called him like, oh, you better get a hold of this. I'm like,
we have a bloopers reel that they put together every year, and this one's going to be epic. So we'll have to share it with you, Ray.
It literally was. It's like, Tyler, you know, and I think he heard it like shut off or something.
Yeah, one of the GoPros went beep, 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 like it was shutting off.
He's
after using this, slapping them all around, trying to. I was dying laughing. I'm like, oh, couldn't have to a more perfect guy right down in there. Yeah, it sounds great. That's awesome.
I was going to take that thing off the ball mount and drop it right out the escape hatch with everything else.
So now all the shit he's talked, you know, about we're going to find out, Ray. We're going to find out what he's really got from the GoPro. We're going to find out.
National news.
Yeah. Jake, I need that video, please. Thank you very much.
You got it. You got it.
You better not.
I'm not the videographer. I'll just point and say, "Hey, Ray needs a copy of the Sarasota race."
Whole attitude that totally changed with Jason. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Sorry about that. I'll bring your Zoom up. I'll bring your Zoom up back.
Yeah,
that was great.
So awesome.
Yeah. So that was. We're back and forth all season with all the different bloopers and the way it takes to become a national champion. It's all kinds of silly, I don't know what unforeseen problems that you got to deal with, and hopefully you deal with them well. So basically all it comes down to.
And there's some luck that goes into it too, you know. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, but there's definitely some luck.
Oh yeah. There is. There definitely is. I mean,
your fan base is growing.
It's crazy. You can think of so many, just every race you could come up with 4 different stories and, you know, focus on it and talk about that story. Like, you know, like, hey, we're in the pits and they wouldn't let us put fuel in the boat. We knew we were going to run out. And they're like, what are we going to do? That's pretty dumb. We came all the way here and we can't put fuel in the boat when it's sitting there in the water. They're like, here, go get a blanket and hold it up in the air so they can't see us putting fuel in the boat because we're going to run out of gas if we don't. That was for qualifying. It's like,
yeah,
you know, so you just one story after another, but pretty cool. Got to see a cool, it was actually at Clearwater. They put all the Supercat guys in a room and they have this like Netflix trailer thing that they've been, or Netflix movie or I don't know, documentary. And it's really neat. I mean, I'm in it, so I'm partial to it. Some people might think it's shitty, but I liked it. So,
that's cool.
It was neat. It was one of the better things that I've seen. That give kudos to the people. It was actually the College of Scientology has a media department too, and they filmed this weekend in Clearwater, and they worked hard. They really worked hard.
Super hard.
It was cool. Gavin and his crew. I mean, they had me in makeup. You should see how sexy I am after makeup. It's mind blowing. Yeah.
Well, we should see that again then, Myrick. Let's see you in makeup more often, bud.
No, I mean, the young lady that did it all. I mean, she even took my shirt off and pressed it before the interview. Can you believe that? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how hard they were working. I mean, that's like no interview. I mean, obviously I need somebody walking around all the time. Missy always is like, stand up straight, quit mumbling. It's just stuff like that.
She keeps you in line. It's good. It's what you need.
Yeah. And a makeup artist. I need a makeup artist. Ray, did you have a makeup artist today? It looks like you did. You got a filter on that thing? Oh, it's just brighter out there in California where you're at. It's dark here.
Yeah, you guys are 2 hours ahead of me. So.
Yeah.
It's dark here.
The next stop for you guys, Key West, going for championships. Yeah.
That's it's good. Man, it's already coming up. Like last weekend, I was like, it's 5 weeks, but tomorrow will be Thursday already. And I was like, oh, there's four weeks, so it's a lot of stuff going on.
Taking both boats.
Yep.
Yeah.
Super Cat's back at the shop right now. Work with performance and Myrick, and get fresh power in it, drives, and
go rip it around.
Yep. And then the Class 1, like Myrick said, it just came back from Skater today, and it'll end up at the NHRA Nationals in St. Louis this weekend for a display and a signing. With Brittany Force Racing. Yeah. So John Force Racing stuff. It's going to be really cool. Like I say, I've never been, but
I'm going to take the boys. They're going to be jacked.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the 9-year-old and the 5-year-old more than the 15-year-old. Even though I am excited for him, little guys minds will be blown when they see all this stuff going on. Then you put like a corn dog in their hand, they're like the happiest person on the planet. Yeah, this is so great.
But
little guy says, "I love you, Dad," probably 100 times a day. It's crazy. He was helping me mow the yard tonight. Love you, Dad. I was like, this is the greatest little dude on the planet.
Yeah.
Cherish every second of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and we got to get well soon for Bear. He broke his arm in football, got his arm up, got broke. I mean, and I saw the pictures of it. It didn't look pretty at all.
It's not pretty. He had a checkup yesterday. And it's so like 11 degrees is the maximum it can be out and still be, good as far as alignment. And cousin Brett, Dr. Miller, that, started all this racing stuff with us. He's the orthopedic surgeon. He's like, it's good right now. Let's check him again in a week and see what we got. So fingers crossed that he's good and keeps it at that 11-degree angle and, he can get on the mend here. But the kid loves football and loves boat racing. And I said, well, one thing about it, at least it's not your throttle arm, it's his left hand. So he's still good there. Still good there. So
that's great.
But that's another big thing to this, Ray, is that, when we're gone, we're away from our family so much too. I mean, a national series, when you stop and think about 7 races and you're gone for 5-6 days at a time to do all this stuff and you're missing out on your kids' stuff, and Myrick's got kids at home and family and his mom and dad and just everybody. It's a daunting task to reel off 7 races and to be there and to be active and to be, in it. And that's my plan in Key West.
I can see. So people today were like, hey, why aren't all the Class 1 guys going? You imagine trying to do it from Australia or Italy or New Zealand. I mean, it's tough getting on Southwest for a connected flight, let alone, fly all over the damn place to, 20-hour flights and stuff like that to get here. That's mind blowing to me.
Yeah, it's a lot. But
so that's why you might have a limited amount of Class 1s in Key West. I think, how many would be 5?
5, yeah.
5.
What are they going to be racing under? I mean, because it's not going to be called Class 1, right? I mean, what?
Yeah, they'll probably still call it Class 1 or.
Yeah. It's still going to be Class 1, and Shelly and Trevor are coming over from Europe and taking care of, all the
Trevor's
Class 1 kind of rules.
chief scrutineer already, so he knows to keep an eye on us, and it's not like you're going to change propellers or anything weird, going into the race or try something new other than
There'll be a Race World Offshore Class 1 World Championship. Just won't have the UIM tag to it, basically, is what it'll be. So
yeah, because they crown their world champion off of the how many is it? 5 or 6 races? Five race season. So they call theirs national or world champion instead of national champion,
right?
Because most of their the races are all here, but still, it's a world based organization, and we might be racing overseas next year, maybe.
Wow.
I mean, it takes a lot of aligning of the stars and stuff like that to get it to happen. But we've heard, rumors that there might be races over there. So pretty cool.
Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Get to travel the world a little bit.
With all that time and devotion and all that stuff, is it rewarding for you at the end of the day, at the end of the season?
I still like to do it. I don't know if I'll still be doing it when I'm Johnny's age.
We're picking on Johnny's age a lot tonight.
Yeah, no, just fucking with it. I talked to him a lot in the last couple. So since I have talked to him recently, I can bust him up a little bit.
What about you?
Yeah, it's super rewarding. It just shows that, the hard work and due diligence pays off. And it's no different than in everyday life and business. It's very rewarding to put in the time and the effort and to come out on top doing what we love to do. And I love boats in general. It doesn't matter if they're 15 footers or 50 footers, and if they're race boats or pleasure boats, I love them all. So anytime I can be with family and be around the water and then get to throw a race or two in there in the mix, it's a rewarding day for me anytime.
Yeah, it is great. I totally agree. I mean, I don't see myself not doing it anytime soon. So, unless somebody tells me I can.
It helps that you guys are at the top and back to back to back.
That definitely doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Makes you keep pushing forward for sure. You have those breakdowns and all those kind of things, and it's like, okay, this is going to hurt, but if we're going to stay on top, we got to keep going. And then when you come out on top, there's nothing like it. It's
we went to the pool at the Hilton end of day Saturday, and everybody, and we had done all our testing, the Super Cat and the Super Stock, and it was a nice relief going with it being the national championship for the Super Cat to only have the Super Cat there, not the Class 1, because we could focus on that. And I went back to the pool to meet Missy and everybody. Brett, our mascot, he was there making sure the girls had cocktails at the pool, and both Wayne Valder and Billy Moff came up to me. And Billy Moff came up, and he's the I love you, I'm gonna kick your ass. That's kind of you'll get all of his emotions all in one conversation. And I was like, man, I heard you got a new boat coming. Yeah, I'm stupid, but I'm gonna do it until they gotta lift me in there, And we happened to be standing by the side of the pool, and it had one of those, like a handicap chair that you sit in, and then you can lower somebody in the pool, like with the electric motor on it. And I was like, man, yeah, we'll just mount one of those to the deck of your boat, and it'll just lower you right in there. And he saw it. It's not like he was trash or anything, but he had been swimming and stuff like that. So he hops right up on this. I actually have a picture of it. I'll have to send it to you, Ray. He's sitting on that thing, all like he's going to be put in the water. It's a hilarious picture. And Valder's there watching it. And Jay Mueller was trying to get the buttons to work on it, but I don't know if they didn't have the master power on or something like that. It was pretty funny. But what reminded me of that is, how long do you have it in you to keep doing it? Billy's been doing it for 40 years or something crazy.
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome,
And he had health scare and came right back to it. So that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We thought he was going to die with that obstructed bowel, whatever, something with his bowel. But yeah. Kudos. I need to get him on the podcast. All you'd have to do is sit back and get ready to hit the censored button. Beep, beep, beep. It'd be awesome. He's great. It's so great to listen to his stories. It really is. It's epic.
I recorded 5 minutes of him just going off in Sarasota on something or someone, and it was
yeah.
I mean,
it was Wayne Bowler was like talking about how he was all pissed that the big school bus blocked him in St. Pete for such a long time. Otherwise, he would have caught up with us. And Billy Moff, if Wayne tries to go up to tell Billy Moff, like, you know, what he did this, Billy Moff's like, fuck you. You know, it's just like, well, not much arguing with him because he don't care whether he blocked you or he didn't block you or whatever. So you're just wasting your breath. You know? So that's the attitude you have. You're like, even if you were mad, it don't matter. If he's mad, you're gonna hear it a little bit, but you know, he still plays it fair both ways. Billy does. He sees both sides, even though he doesn't like to admit it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a lot of phone conversations with Billy over the years, and then especially being the class representative the last couple of years, you know, bouncing stuff off of him, and he'd call and he'd say, "This is what you need to be doing," and he's still super jazzed up about offshore super cat racing. It's unbelievable.
He's got a new boat being built, so
yeah,
to see a new WHN. Yeah, he is great.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a lot of cool personalities in offshore racing.
Absolutely.
A lot of them I haven't even met yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, you know, guys in the pits that, you know, I never really had talked to Brett Lilly that much and get him on the podcast, and seems, you know, pretty cool cat.
No,
super nice guy.
Yeah. So of all the things, I mean, because there's obviously a lot of perks and you know, the glory days, but that's obviously not all the time.
You might get like a video, or you might get like an award ceremony, and after that, it's like, what's next? To be honest, you know.
Yeah, right.
It really is. The celebrating is short. It's good to like have. I think the US1 thing's the coolest thing, just because you get to carry it all year. I mean, it's something that you actually get to say, you know, that's why we got it. So
yeah,
I mean, it gives me a lot more drive.
That leads me to my question: is what is the most rewarding part of the entire offshore racing world for you, Tyler?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Very good question. You know, I'd say at the end of the day, seeing how much my family has taken to what we're about, what we've become, and, you know, the winning tradition, I think that's probably what, you know, just pulls out all the stops for me. The kids love offshore racing. They know everybody in the pits. You know, they meet Myrick's kids, and they become family, and just, you know, the Turks and you know, I mean, just an enormous amount of kids and stuff, and the family and you know, and then us as grown-ups too. I mean, we all talk about, I got to go to the next race, the next race already. But then when you get there, it's your family. And then when you have a couple months away from it, you're ready to get back and see everybody, like Billy Moff, Johnny Tomlinson, and you know, and just everybody. I'd say
Sisms,
it's an extended
Billy
family.
Allen, Vinny, it
all
is.
The guys.
It's like you wouldn't think anything of my 5-year-old going over to any trailer and like just walking in. You know, they're going like, "Hey, what's up, Cam?" You know, that's what they're going. You know, and you don't worry about a thing. And
I know Myrick his kids take turns, you know, going to the races, who gets to go, and they're pissed off when it's not their card being drawn, you know. And
it is cool to get them singled out though, because you get to learn. I mean, we have so many, you know, 4, they kind of get, you know, together, and you don't get to have talk to one as much singly, and that's nice. So
yeah. I would say
so family's a big one.
My biggest thing.
Mine would probably be, what was the question again? What is the highlight of your
rewarding
or the most rewarding part? Yeah, I'd probably say like, I don't know, respect from your peers, probably, or family, the respect from your family and peers, when you're doing good and somebody comes up to you, it's like, and they ask you about racing or whatever, and you're pretty good at it, say that you can run at the top and be a podium finisher and whatever you're doing, and somebody come up and like ask your opinion, that's pretty dope,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and then come home. My kids didn't even ask how I did racing this weekend, or maybe they said did good, Dad. Not you. You were there, bud. Preston's over here. Preston's over here with his hair hanging in his eyes. You can't even see his eyes. He looks like that cartoon Shaggy Dog or whatever it is with that on the Sunday paper.
Barrett was just like that up until about an hour ago, and Lindsay set him on the 5-gallon bucket outside and trimmed him up. So he's all shined up. Yeah, he's all shined up.
Nice. I had to see. That's one thing about boat racing. It's when I get my hair cut. So I usually go. Just the only time my hair gets cut is before I'm going to a boat race. So I get pretty shaggy.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, both of you guys, hats off to you. Kudos on an amazing season, amazing back to back to back. What an accomplishment that is. You guys are the ones to beat in Key West, apparently in Supercat. And so
I'd say that would probably be the right assumption. Floors will be
pressure.
There.
Right.
No pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Lots of pressure.
Yeah. Three boats for me.
Yeah.
3 boats from Myrick, and like I said earlier, all these guys are coming in with fresh power in the Supercat class. I mean,
that's what usually everybody does.
Yeah.
Sometimes they use clear water as their shakedown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Class 1's gonna. Yeah. Hopefully, we're not throwing rocks at it.
Stock class, you guys probably have like 13 or 14 boats there, won't you? It'd be a bunch of stock boats.
Yeah. Well, one we're rigging right now for Tom Sanderfoot and his son Max is not going to make it, and not because we can't get it done, because it's not too far off. It would be possible, but he's got so much work going on. He's like, I don't want my first race to be Key West.
Key West.
I understand that. Only thing is, Cocoa Beach isn't much better.
Yeah.
Get your brain kicked in. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing that I'm kind of disappointed for them, that is how much you learn in that 3 race venue, which I've said it a million times,
Yeah. The back-to-back testing and racing is, it's a lot of value there.
You're like, oh man, no wonder I got beat on Wednesday, after you make the change, and then Friday you're that much better, or conditions change and you're just better in that, because there's a lot of boats that depends on conditions on if that boat's going to shine or not, just because it's a rough water boat or calm water boat or in between, or whoever's in it and stuff like that. So your light's changing. Did you not pay your light bill?
Mine or Ray's?
No, Ray's. It's like it's something shut off.
Oh,
your filter shut off.
It's 9:15 here. It's finally getting dark in California.
Yeah, exactly. That's
dark here for 3 hours. It's finally sun's going down on him.
That's got to be weird. I've always thought of that, and I've never been out on the West Coast when that happens, to where like a Monday night football game would start at 5:15. That would be mind blowing. You'd like be rushing home from work to get to, where we live. It's like almost too late to where I'm falling asleep at the fourth quarter.
Yeah. So I mean, like whenever I travel back east, I'm like, why is it so late? And then
especially if you're on the East Coast and it's 8:15. Yeah, mind blowing. Yeah.
Anyways, congratulations, you guys, on an amazing season. You guys are number one, literally, and very proud of you guys, and very proud to call you guys friends. And looking forward to
buddy.
Thanks, Ray.
Yeah, thank you guys. This has been another episode of the Boats and Bros podcast with my bro Myrick Coil and his world or national champion looking for a world championship.
Don't jinx us with that.
2022 world.
We have 2022 world champions. Yeah. There you go. I guess we do still get to hold it until then, at least
another month
till next.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys, thank you so much. Tyler, thank you for joining us. This has been another episode. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and like and share the Boats and Bros podcast. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you guys soon.
Later.
Thanks.
This podcast is powered by Speedboat Magazine. Subscribe now at speedboat.com for 9 power-packed current issues a year direct to your mailbox.